For centuries, Iran has buried its truth behind sun-baked walls and mountain ridges. We envision silk tapestries, delicate rhymes, and tea-laden welcomes. Yet, beneath that gold-leafed mask lies a reality that chills the marrow. Some tales speak of primordial forbidden rites. Others whisper of lost cataclysms and cursed hallowed ground, places even the locals avoid at dusk. These aren't just ghost stories. These are cold facts, etched into the records of archaeology and blood. 7 riddles, 7 dark truths. Each one shatters your perception of a land you only thought you knew. In truth, we are blind. Before we dive in, remember this: Iran isn't just a nation. It is a geological palimpsest of human existence. One story scratched over another, layer upon agonizing layer, centuries piled up, altars built over the charcoal of older gods, modern skylines rising from the dust of forgotten skeletons. Highways now trace the grooves of 1,000 footsteps. Strike any patch of soil, and you'll hit a remnant from 5 millennia ago. The air here carries a different weight. History isn't trapped in a glass case. It breathes beneath your boots. It bleeds through plaster. It rises every time a blade meets the dirt. Our first enigma lies in a place the modern world forgot: the Spires of Silence. Near Yazd, 2 stone titans rise from the scorched earth. From a distance, they look like nothing more than natural, barren hills. An oblivious traveler would walk past, never suspecting the horror within. But climb the narrow stone path. Look into the abyss. You'll find a circular arena with a hollow, hungry core. This is the Dakhma, the gateway to the Zoroastrian afterlife. What happened here for eons would make a modern heart stop cold. Ancient followers of light believed the earth was a sacred vessel. Soil, water, and flame were too holy to be touched by decay. Burials were forbidden. The ground must remain pure. Cremation was heresy. Fire is the most divine of all elements. Water was out of the question. The soul needed a different exit. Only one path remained: surrender the flesh to the sky. The dead were hauled up to the summit and laid bare. Men in the outer ring, women in the center, children at the core. Then came the vultures. Hundreds of shadows descending to strip the bone. Masked attendants gathered the remnants and cast them into the central pit. There, sun and wind ground the ancestors into fine white dust. The most terrifying part? This wasn't some ancient medieval myth. These towers of silence operated until the 1960s. Elders today still recall the sight of vultures circling the midday sun. They remember the white-clothed processions marching toward the hills, and they remember the smell. A heavy scent that never truly left the air. Tehran officially outlawed this ancient ritual in 1970. Yet, whispers among historians suggest a different story. In the shadows of remote provinces, the practice endured for years, veiled by the night, hidden from the eyes of the law. Today, the Tower of Silence stands as a hollow monument for travelers. You can climb to the very peak, stand upon the stone floor, and peer into the central abyss where centuries of human remains once gathered. The pit is empty now, the bones long gone. But when the wind moans through the cracks and a lone bird shadows the sun, your primal fears begin to stir. You are standing where thousands were offered to the sky, and you realize something profound. To the Zoroastrians, this wasn't a nightmare. It was the ultimate act of ecological devotion. They viewed the physical form as nothing more than a discarded shell. The spirit departs after 3 days. By feeding the vultures, the deceased performed one final act of charity for the living world. There is a chilling grace in that logic, hard to grasp, yet impossible to ignore. But the mystery of these towers doesn't end with the vultures. Few know that these communities kept meticulous ledgers for every single soul. Names etched in ink, dates and causes of death spanning centuries, a demographic treasure trove that scholars are only just beginning to unlock. These pages track waves of plague, seasons of famine, and the scars of forgotten wars. It is a cold, bureaucratic record of 1,000 individual tragedies. A researcher might read of the month of Tyr, consigned to the Dakhma. Rustam, son of Bahram, 62, taken by fever. Shirin, daughter of Ardashir, 4, cause unknown. Firuz, son of Khusro, 30, fallen to a wound. Each line marks a person carried to the stone platform and left for the griffins. These records are voices from the dust, locked away in the restricted archives of Yazd. Then, there is the dark secret the tour guides rarely mention. When the vulture population collapsed due to chemical use and urban sprawl, the ritual faced a brutal crisis. There weren't enough birds to complete the purification in time. Nature slowed down, and the scent of decay began to drift into the neighboring streets. Public outcry in Yazd grew, eventually forcing the state to shut the towers down forever. The faithful were forced into concrete-lined graves. An uneasy compromise to keep the holy earth from being defiled. A stone barrier now separates the body from the sacred soil. But a second enigma haunts a place known only as the Cursed Village, Qanat. Nestled in the desolate peaks of Khorasan, it sits as a skeletal ruin, abandoned decades ago. Crumbling mud walls, collapsed roofs, and hollow doorways where wooden beams rot in the sun. It seems like any other ghost town, but Qanat possesses a stain that sets it apart from all others. Locals from the surrounding valleys refuse to step near these ruins once the sun vanishes. They speak of a legend, of a curse that took root centuries ago. A heinous crime stained the soil. They butchered a holy traveler. His dying breath carried a hex, sterile earth, bitter poisoned wells, unborn phantoms prowling the moonlit ruins. A fable, easily dismissed by logic. Yet the vacancy is real. The cause? Unknown. Science offers a far colder answer. Toxic leaks from jagged tectonic tears, invisible vapors inducing madness and sudden blackouts. Should the air stagnate, rooms become gas traps. Phantom shapes materialize from the haze. Logic fails. They only see demons. These dread-soaked zones litter the entire map. The plateau sits atop grinding tectonic plates. Gas vents and sonic tricks born underground. Inside the Great Salt Desert's heart, the earth shatters into hidden abysses within the jagged Zagros peaks. Stone whistles with a dying man's moan. For a lonely traveler at night, the rock speaks. Geology becomes a nightmare. Myths born from a land that kills. Consider this: entities unlike any Western horror. Forget those smiling blue giants, violent powers forged from smokeless fire. Shapeshifters haunting the silent, dry wells. Before stepping into the rot, into the dark, a sacred whisper to warn the unseen. This dread is hardwired, even for the modern, tech-savvy soul. Sunset brings an ancient, heavy silence. Here, logic bleeds into legend. This isn't simple superstition. It's a reaction to a volatile planet. 2006. A cavernous nightmare. Caving teams stumbled onto a horror. A gap barely wide enough for bones. Massive chambers painted with ancient nightmares. Minotaur shapes and chimera etched in stone. Ancient charcoal and rust-colored pigments. But the real terror waited inside. Dozens of human skulls, watching from the dark. Several specimens bore distinct, chilling perforations. Gaps that, experts suggest, signal a primitive form of brain surgery. Trepanation, the ancient, brutal act of drilling directly into the human skull. This practice spanned the entire ancient globe, stretching from South American peaks to European plains, marking humanity's first surgical frontier. Yet a discovery deep within an Iranian cave shatters our understanding. First, there is the staggering timeline. These remains date back 5,000 to 7,000 years, rewriting the history of medicine in the Middle East. Then, there is the survival rate. Clear signs of bone regeneration around the wounds prove one thing: these ancient patients didn't just survive. They thrived for years afterward. 7 millennia ago, surgeons in prehistoric Iran mastered cranial invasion. They operated on the living brain without a single fatality. No anesthesia, no sterile tools, no modern maps of the human mind. But why risk it? The truth is far more unsettling. Many skulls show zero healing. The holes were carved into the dead. Why perform surgery on a corpse? Some call it a spiritual release, a gateway carved to let the soul escape the flesh. Others see a darker harvest of mystical artifacts, taking fragments of bone and gray matter to be used in forbidden ceremonies. The way these heads line the walls, facing inward, suggests a grim underground cathedral, a sanctuary for the departed. Yet a colder theory exists. This could be a prehistoric trophy room. Ancient warriors often kept the heads of the conquered as grim medals of war, a Stone Age museum of slaughter hidden beneath the earth. But trophies don't usually include women and children, unless the motive was sacrifice. Iran's subterranean world remains a dark, unmapped frontier. Perched atop a vast limestone plateau, thousands of labyrinths lie untouched, never seen by a human eye for millennia. The National Cave Research Teams, established in the late 1990s, unearth dozens of new tunnels every single year. Nearly every abyss they enter reveals ancient life, from primitive fires to haunting murals. Deep in Luristan, one particular cavern stands alone. Its walls depict nightmares, beings that defy every known biological law, entities with elongated spindly limbs, massive swollen skulls, and what looked like tattered wings. Researchers tried to dismiss them as costumes, claiming they are merely priests in masks. But no one is truly convinced. These 10,000-year-old sketches offer only questions, never answers. The site is now sealed, locked away from the public. But the initial glimpses force us to wonder what else lurks in the crushing blackness beneath the Iranian soil. Our final mystery is a shadow over history, a truth whispered only in the dark and never out loud. Hamadan, medieval Iran. A countdown begins. Chilling cycles of plague, cities hollowed out, ancient crown jewel, former Median capital, high mountain plateau, a natural fortress, pure air, abundant water, deceptive paradise. The crossroads of empires became a curse. East meets west, the perfect incubator. Silk Road caravans brought massive wealth, but hidden in silk, plague-ridden fleas. When it arrived, it didn't kill, it emptied. Chroniclers record a waking nightmare. Piles of unburied rot, families lost overnight, survivors fled, igniting the surrounding countryside. Ibn al-Athir witnessed the ultimate horror. Weeks passed. The population simply vanished. Feral dogs feasting on the unburied dead. The darkest secret lies beneath your feet. Graves overflowed. They dug massive trenches, countless pits, centuries of mass death. A subterranean world of stacked remains. Flesh, lime, earth. A gruesome sandwich. Maps were lost, the dead forgotten. The city grew over its own ghosts. 20th century pipes met ancient secrets. Bones at 1.5 meters deep. Skulls emerged. An ocean of bone. Construction halted. The ground was screaming. 30 to 60% wiped out. Hamadan rebuilt on a foundation of bone. Migrants moved in, sleeping on graves. Modern streets rest on a skeleton. No monuments, only thousands of nameless victims, a silent, buried truth. Hamadan is a man hiding a cancer, terrified to speak of the earth's burden. Tabriz, Isfahan, Ray, all built on bone. Every trade hub hides a necropolis. The mid-14th century, the Black Death, 1/3 of a nation, erased. Cities turned into vast, silent graveyards. Hamdallah Mustafi saw the fire consume all. Too many corpses, not enough earth. They filled houses with dead and burned. The sky tasted of charred human remains. Is the ancient pathogen gone? Or just sleeping? Plague didn't just kill Zoroastrians. It shattered their reality. Sacred law forbade both earth burial and cremation. The towers of silence overflowed. Vultures stopped circling. Corpse piles rotted under the merciless desert sun, creating a secondary, horrific explosion of disease. Desperate sources claim they eventually broke holy taboos. A sin, a spiritual catastrophe matching the plague itself. Secrets wait below. Descend into Iran's hidden subterranean cities. Believe your ears. Ancient metropolises lie carved into the deep bedrock. The crown jewel is Nushabad in Isfahan. In 2004, a man digging a well vanished. He had stumbled into a 1,500-year-old underworld. Nushabad is a 3-level maze of stone and traps, carved 18 meters deep into solid limestone. Its true borders remain a total mystery. New chambers still emerge from the ancient dust. The engineering is terrifyingly brilliant and precise. Living quarters with carved oil lamp niches, grain silos, freshwater wells, and hidden plumbing. Tunnels are suffocatingly tight. You must crawl to survive. This was no mistake. It was a kill zone. Invaders could never swing a weapon. They became helpless prey for hunters in the dark. Then come the traps. Deceptive forks in the path. One leads home, the other leads to the void. A sheer vertical drop into a 5-meter abyss. In the blackness, your first step was your last. Low stone ledges designed to shatter skulls. Sudden impact, total disorientation, then a quick death. Hidden slits where spears lunged from the rock. This wasn't a city. It was an impregnable bunker. A few men could hold off an entire legion. Built during the 4th century Sassanid Empire, a sanctuary from when the world above burned. When the Mongols arrived, the earth swallowed the people. Entire families vanished beneath the soil to hide. They brought their lives, their livestock, and their fear. Ceiling soot still whispers of ancient lamplight. Shelves carved for meals eaten in absolute silence. They stayed for months while the slaughter raged overhead. Imagine your home burning just meters above you, holding your breath, muffling a child's cry, praying for silence. But what else remains hidden? Inside a Nushabad chamber, researchers discovered a single tattered child's sandal made of primitive leather. It could be centuries old, perhaps over 1,000 years. Its true age remains a mystery. Yet this fragile scrap is the most haunting relic ever found. It confirms a chilling reality. Children lived in these depths, small souls dragged into the abyss as parents fled the massacres above. They spent weeks in total shadow, buried alive within these stone veins. They survived on dry bread and fruit, huddled in the stifling dark. Above, enemy horses thundered. One tiny shoe reveals a nightmare words cannot touch. But here is the twist. Nushabad is not alone. Similar subterranean citadels haunt several other provinces. Archaeologists now suspect a staggering truth. The maps we have are barely a fraction of the reality. Kerman hides a new structure that likely dwarfs Nushabad entirely. Khorasan villagers long whispered of bizarre vents in the parched soil. Warm steam rose in winter, the breath of a vast, hidden labyrinth. Its gates were choked with debris centuries ago, sealing its secrets. A bold theory suggests these weren't isolated shelters, but a unified subterranean grid. If true, a massive infrastructure lies buried beneath the entire Iranian plateau, a complex rivaling Rome's catacombs or the stone cities of Turkey's Cappadocia. While Turkey welcomes tourists, Iran's underworld remains a dark, forbidden frontier. These tunnels are almost entirely unexplored by modern science. The reasons are purely pragmatic. Zero funding, massive bureaucracy, and, most importantly, genuine, primal terror. Locals guard the entrances, and laborers refuse to enter the shafts. Hired crews often quit by sunset, haunted by a crushing sense of dread. Logic calls it superstition, but try surviving one night 15 meters down. Just listen. The rhythm of dripping water and the groan of shifting rock will break you before dawn. A mirror universe exists beneath the dust of modern Iranian life, a cold, silent world echoing with 1,000 years of human panic. The sixth mystery is the most jarring. Deep in the Zagros Mountains lies a jagged scar known as the Valley of the Jinn, a narrow, suffocating rift. Towering 100-meter cliffs squeeze a small, silent river into the shadows. By day, it is a majestic, deceptively normal mountain pass. Then the sun sets and the mask slips. Villagers tell of sounds that defy every law of acoustics. It isn't the wind or the water. It's a rhythmic, low-frequency thrum. A pulse that swells and fades like a titan's breath, like a hammer striking iron deep within the mountain's marrow. Sometimes, a wordless, melodic drone joins the mechanical beat. Shepherds refuse to enter after dusk, claiming the canyon itself is alive. Their flocks bolt in terror long before human ears catch the vibration. Scientists have offered several rational explanations. Geologists offer a purely rational perspective. They point to the Zagros Range's hollowed interior and fractured stone. Extreme thermal swings force these ancient rocks to expand and snap. This produces a rhythmic percussion of sharp cracks and pops. Subterranean rivers surging through narrow limestone veins create deep resonance, a low, vibrating hum that mimics machinery. Even the singing is dismissed as wind slicing through jagged vents, a global curiosity known as the singing rock phenomenon. Science has categorized it all, but one anomaly defies every chart. Years ago, a research team wired the canyon with sensors for days. They recorded the noises, but also discovered a physical impossibility. During certain nights, the valley temperature suddenly plunged 10 degrees in minutes. This thermal collapse had zero correlation with wind or pressure. No cloud shifts, no weather patterns, no logical explanation. It simply occurred in total isolation. Then the air would return to normal just as mysteriously. Baffled experts admitted defeat, theorizing a hidden atmospheric void, a massive undiscovered network of subterranean lungs deep below, where violent pressure surges suck the heat from the surface. It's just a guess. The Valley of Jen keeps its secrets, and the locals still vanish before the shadows lengthen after sunset. Yet, this isn't Iran's only sonic phantom. In the scorched wastes of the Dasht Ilut, the desert possesses a distinct, haunting voice. When the brutal summer heat yields to the desert's midnight chill, a mechanical drone rises from the dunes, like an engine idling beneath. Geophysicists blame the violent compression of cooling sand masses. Billions of microscopic silica grains shifting their volume at once. A collective roar that echoes across 5 kilometers of wasteland. But for the nomads drifting through the dust, science is white noise. They know the desert is alive. In the Alborz peaks lies a maw called the Breath of the Dev. In Persian myth, the Dev are architects of nightmare, ancient shadows that exist only to extinguish the light. At 3,000 meters, this black throat exhales hot, sulfurous steam. During winter, this heat creates a thick, ghostly plume against the frozen sky, like smoke from a dying fire. Geology calls it volcanic. Nearby Damavand is a sleeping giant, heating the deep earth. Gas is escaped through the mountain's shattered ribs, but standing before that sulfurous, boiling abyss, your logic whispers, volcano. But your instinct screams something entirely different. The jinn, the voice, the breath, they share one dark truth, ghostly echoes of a land that refuses to stay still. Beneath the plateau, the Arabian and Eurasian plates collide in a slow-motion war. This tectonic violence is the very pulse of Iranian history. Tremors aren't rare, they're the rhythm of life. Last century, the ground claimed tens of thousands. 2003. Bam. The world's oldest mud citadel, Ar-Gibam, turned to dust. A relic 2 millennia strong, leveled in seconds. 26,000 souls vanished with it. The soil that nurtured an empire is the same force that repeatedly buries it. But the seventh mystery is far darker, more vast, more haunting. It isn't a single event or a hidden tomb. It is a silent phantom occurring right now, invisible, unknown, a global secret hiding in plain sight. Iran is sinking. This isn't poetry. It's gravity. The nation is physically descending into the abyss. For 20 years, satellites have watched a catastrophe. The crust is collapsing nationwide. Some regions drop 30 centimeters annually. A terrifying, relentless pace. In a single decade, the horizon has fallen 3 meters down. Massive fissures scar the highways. Skyscrapers lean like drunkards. Concrete screams and snaps. Stone foundations simply tear apart. In Isfahan, families fled as their homes began to tilt. The earth swallowed their bedrooms whole. The culprit? Total groundwater bankruptcy. Iran is a parched kingdom. For decades, they survived by stabbing the earth with countless deep wells. Over 700,000 needles drain the aquifers faster than nature can bleed. The ancient reservoirs are gasping. As the water vanishes, the hollow earth buckles under its own weight. There is no turning back. Stop the pumps today, and nothing changes. The geological spine is permanently shattered. History itself is sinking. The magnitude is impossible to calculate. Ancient Persepolis and the blue mosques of Isfahan face a slow-motion burial. Black gashes sever the rail lines, turning infrastructure into a deadly labyrinth. Entire villages are now ghost towns, abandoned because the very ground became hostile. Experts call it the quiet catastrophe. It makes no noise as it kills. No explosions, no sirens, just a slow, lethal descent. Its final toll may dwarf the carnage of any earthquake. And yet, this is merely the surface of the nightmare. The sinking land is just a symptom of a much deeper thirst. Lake Urmia, once a turquoise giant, has bled out 80%, leaving a blood-red salt scar. The Zayandeh River, the eternal lifeblood of Isfahan, now chokes on dry dust for months at a time. Ancient stone arches now bridge nothing but a hollow, silent void. It is the most haunting vision in the modern Middle East. The Mesopotamian wetlands, a cradle of culture for millennia, have withered into a saline graveyard. The qanats, the masterwork underground canals of the ancients, are finally running dry after 3,000 years of service. The water table has bottomed out, but that isn't the true horror. A much darker detail remains. The very crust of the earth is fracturing. These massive fissures don't just claim roads and farmland. They are slicing directly through those ancient plague pits we mentioned earlier. As the ground sags and splits, secrets buried for centuries are forced to the surface. Relics sealed away since the Middle Ages are seeing light once more. Iranian health officials are now reporting cases where construction or shifting soil has unmasked these forgotten graves. Scientifically, there is little to fear. The plague bacteria cannot survive underground for centuries, yet the sight of a city reopening its own ancient wounds is haunting. There is a far more immediate crisis looming. The subsidence beneath Tehran is systematically dismantling the infrastructure that millions rely on. Water mains are snapping like dry twigs. Gas lines are buckling under the pressure, while power grids tilt toward collapse. In 2017, a mile-long chasm tore through a residential district in southern Tehran. Homes literally split at the seams, foundations shifted, and entire blocks were condemned as death traps. Families were forced out, but they had nowhere else to run. Safe ground is vanishing as the subsidence swallows more territory every day. Eventually, people returned to their shattered bedrooms. They patched the cracks with cheap mortar and stayed, simply because there was no other choice. Researchers at Tehran University have drafted a risk map of this slow-motion disaster. The visual data is terrifying. Deep red stains bleed across the regions surrounding Tehran and Isfahan. Mashhad and every other major hub are in the crosshairs. Urban Iran is literally sinking. The crisis intensifies every year as the population continues to explode. The desperate thirst for water is unquenchable. New wells are being bored into the parched earth, both legally and illegally, while experts issue a final warning. Within 20 to 30 years, vast stretches of Iran could become a ghost land. This is not mere alarmism or exaggeration. It is the cold reality of satellite imagery and hydrological modeling. A civilization that flourished for 7,000 years is losing its lifeblood in a single generation. The most chilling part is that it is happening this very second. Every hour we spend discussing it, the floor is dropping. Beneath the feet of millions, the ground is falling in a silent, relentless descent. Halting this collapse might be impossible, but let's shift our focus from geology to the human ghosts of this land. It is the human stories that give these mysteries their truly sinister edge. Behind every enigma, there are real faces and real names. Those who guarded the secrets, those who suffered for them, and those who stumbled upon them by chance. Consider the man who accidentally unmasked the hidden city of Nushaban, a simple farmer named Hossein. He was only trying to deepen his backyard well because the water had turned to silt. Suddenly, the earth gave way and he plunged into the void. He was met by a bone-chilling subterranean draft in a world of absolute, suffocating blackness. Only the rhythmic, haunting echo of dripping water broke the silence of his new prison. His neighbors eventually hauled him up and ascended with lanterns to see what lay in the abyss. They unearthed the passage leading into the absolute void. A cleric declared it a demonic lair. Months of dread followed. Researchers finally arrived, uncovering the grim saga of the Silent Towers. Hidden scrolls in Yazd reveal the lives of the outcasts, those dark attendants who hauled the dead toward the sky altars for the ritual, a bloodline of grief isolated from the world of the living, revered for their duty, yet feared like a plague. They existed in the constant friction of mortality. Decay was their perfume. Stench clung to their skin. Holy laws forbade their touch. They were walking contamination. Survivors from 1970 recalled the haunting weight of their labor. Sight didn't break them. The absolute crushing silence did. Once the flesh met the stone, the long vigil began. Scavengers arrived in minutes or hours. The bearer just waited, trapped between heaven and dust, alone with the departed, watching nature claim what was left of a soul. One elder from the 1980s spoke of the brutal winters. Birds stayed away. Bodies froze solid. The cycle stopped. Summer's speed became a day-long nightmare. Night vigils in frost, shivering in wool. He listened to the winds scream, waiting for wings. In that cold, he spoke to corpses, not out of belief, but from sheer, desperate loneliness. These tales are mere strata in a vast excavation. Peel back one horror, find another. Iran rests on thousands. Every shovel stroke into the parched earth, every construction pit reveals a forgotten, buried truth. Beneath gold domes lies an empire of dust and bone. Here is the truly chilling part. The locals know. These nightmares are their bedtime stories. They walk among ghosts without flinching. Fear is just scenery. They build homes over plague pits. They ignore the moaning peaks behind their backyards. You either lose your mind or find your peace. The people chose the latter. They steep tea and unroll silk rugs, reciting poetry over a soil saturated with ancient secrets. The real enigma isn't the stone or the crypts. It is 70 million souls ignoring 7,000 years of terror. Next time you see a postcard, look past the merchant's smile and the turquoise tile. Beneath those arches, lost rituals once defied the light. Under the market stalls, the plague-ridden sleep in thousands. Deep in the peaks, a canyon waits, shunned by locals after dark. Iran is many worlds. Think of civilizations stacked like shadows. The deeper you go, the darker the truth becomes. These 7 enigmas are merely a glimpse into what the Iranian soil truly hides. Every year, archaeologists discover new caverns etched with prehistoric art. Every year, heavy machinery plunges into sudden, silent subterranean voids. Geologists constantly map fresh fractures in the sinking, hollowed earth. A pattern emerges. Every mystery is tethered to the darkness beneath our feet. The Towers of Silence, a ritual where the dead were surrendered to the pit. Haunted villages, toxic gases venting from deep tectonic scars, skull-lined grottos, secret stone chambers, millennia of silence, ancient plague pits, mass graves under city streets, vast, stone-cut labyrinths stretching for miles. The Valley of Spirits, anomalies born from the violent pressures below. Soil subsidence, the ground literally vanishing into a waiting vacuum. In Iran, the terror is always downstairs, separated only by a thin crust of dust. Perhaps that is why they hold the heavens so dear. The intricate mosques, the woven silk, the soaring melodies of their past. When you live above the void, you learn to worship light and sound. When the earth beneath you can split, you build domes that touch the sun. You reach for the sky because the ground is unreliable. 7,000 years of chaos breeds poetry of pure love and wine. The plateau guards its secrets with a cold, 7,000-year-old patience. The most terrifying truths are still down there, in a tunnel untouched by light, where no man has breathed, in a cave sealed by ancient rockfalls. Deep in the strata no explorer has touched, waits the 8th mystery. Then the 9th, the 10th. Hundreds of ghosts we may never summon. Because Iran knows how to wait. It has waited 7,000 years already,